In the indie space, one of the most popular genres is 2D platformers. Since this is the case, over the years I've felt a certain fatigue with these certain games, which has led me to covering less of them. However, with 3D platformers, there is just something about being able to explore most of, if not the entirety of the world, that to me is a more satisfying gameplay loop than only moving left or right. I'm the kind of person to look at every little corner of the map to try to find all the secrets and interactable objects, which is why open world games often give me this overwhelming feeling of the FOMO. While yes, you could technically classify open world games as 3D platformers, to me at least, 3D platformers are a good in-between between 2D platformers and open world games. You get to explore 3 dimensions, but on a much smaller scale, which leads to more accomplishments in less time. I haven't personally seen a lot of 3D platformers in the indie space, so when one pops up, I immediately feel the need to buy it. Well, good thing I got a Steam gift card for Christmas. Doorway's old prototype was a game I played in 2017, and it only took me an hour to play. We spawn in a box-like stone room where the menus are written on the walls while an ambient wind-adjacent echo haunts this very cube. This game was made by 2 people, and it is the first episode of the Doorway series. The notes scattered about are little developer scribblings about the development of the game. Already I've played for a minute, and it's hooked me with its mysterious windy atmosphere and smooth letter animation. The first room is very hell-like, with many floating platforms thrown together, and was actually created for a company called NGD Studios. One small detail that I noticed is that an automatic sprint is always on, which is a feature that I greatly appreciate. As you can tell, this is an atmospheric puzzle platformer, where parkour is necessary to progress, a common staple to any 3D platformer. One reason why there are no characters, according to the developers, is that it was cheaper to make, which makes me think that if I were to ever make another game, it would probably be a 3D platformer. At this point, we can now move our own platforms, which further cements this game as a puzzle platformer, and like any good puzzle platformer, there are checkpoints if you mess up a jump. Gotta say, this game will make your palms sweat. I ran into one glitch where the door wasn't opening, but it actually wasn't a glitch, you just need a clever way to solve this puzzle. The next segment is the auditorium, and if the previous segment taught me anything, it's that I enjoyed hell more than this. The second part was created after leaving the studio to become independent. I'm not gonna lie, the monster kill made me die of laughter with just how it was executed. You're essentially playing one-way tag, and once the monster appeared, I started to mentally check out, cause you know me, not a fan of jump scares. I think this is now my least favorite section of the game because now it has become a stealth game using the same situation over and over again. That is until they brought parkour back and they caught my attention once again, especially with the camouflaged Windows 10 boxes. According to the dev notes, immersion was one very important element to this game, which explains the lack of HUD or icons of any kind, and it succeeds at that aspect pretty well. I gotta say, still not a fan of this monster, so for me, it's definitely a low point in the game, though I appreciate that they tried something different. It definitely gets the adrenaline pumping, especially because there is no pause button. Tiny and Big Grandpa's Leftovers is probably the weirdest title I've stumbled across years ago. The menu has both characters yapping about pants and the dialogue loops. A Game Boy-esque tutorial plays, and I don't remember this section from the last time I played it. Here we can jump, push blocks, and use a claw. I also love these subtle scratches on the screen as slight attention to detail. We also have a laser cutter and a rocket. This tutorial is Tiny's game console, and we transition to the actual game when we crashed the car in the desert. Tiny lost all of his equipment, so we must go exploring. Without any of the tools you had in the tutorial, you're gonna really need to think outside the box, and the game rewards you for it. With this game, you essentially create your own form of platforming by destroying the terrain to your liking. Each level has a different atmosphere where you can collect tapes and boring stones. One gripe I have is that the fall damage is based on pure distance and not practical location. Level 3 is the first boss fight with Big, and by that I mean we chase him. Anyways, he ripped the pyramid out of the ground with the power of pants. Gravitas is a gallery of redefined gravity by Galaxy Shark Studios. She and the curator are two characters we are introduced to. She is an anime girl sounding computer, and the curator is a floating British robot with an accidental sense of comedic timing. He gives us a glove that has a limited impact of gravity, and while writing my notes, he starts making a comment that I am, in fact, not moving. So I decided to wait this out.
Why are you just standing there? You can't be afraid. The first thing the glove deletes is fear. Do you need me to explain the controls? You're not even gonna try an experiment? You know what, it's fine. Use your left brain. Hopefully it will click. Left click.
Eventually, he gives up and we finally use the glove. I can't help but make this comparison, but I would not be surprised if a big source of this developer's inspiration is Portal. One factor that I'm actually really impressed with is the video game taking advantage that it is in fact a video game. And what I mean by that is the dialogue matches the pacing of your own gameplay. So you could either go after he's done talking, or wait it out, or just walk into the next room. Overall, it is a very comedic but short puzzle platformer where I genuinely loved the characters. Before we continue, I guess seizure warning, there are some very trippy elements to this game, so if that's something you are actively trying to avoid for health reasons, now you know. A Long Time was initially made for a game jam, and then an improved version was later released. And this is that improved version. While the sprinting is satisfyingly fast, since the controls are a bit floaty, it is very easy to miss your jump and land into the abyss. Also, I don't know why I needed to run this fast, but maybe that will be resolved later. Side note, this is the room that made me add the seizure warning. You can interact with platforms which influence the space where you can traverse, which at first are used for bridges and doors, but later are used for ladders. Although I question how these platformers tie into the concept of time, like just make them clock towers or something adjacent, but I'm also not sure if these specific symbols mean anything, well, symbolic. A statement I'd rather make is that I appreciate the background is just various versions of your first-person camera, which adds to the trippiness of the game. It's as if time is literally folding in on itself. When I first played this game years ago, I didn't get it. Now, as an adult, I think I finally realized what its meaning is. Time will always move, whether we choose ourselves to move or not. So we might as well make the best of our time that we have now and accept the fact that we cannot stop time, no matter how hard we try. Basil and the Isle of Spice. I will say off the bat, the sensitivity for the camera is just way too high. Oh, it's a boost jump. If the camera was back a little bit more, this would be, I think, a little bit more of an enjoyable experience. Oh, glide? Oh, there's a glide too. I feel like it'd be really fun to make a 3D platformer, honestly. That just kind of popped in out of nowhere. Okay. We can run on water. Are we a Jesus gecko? Are we a gecko instead of a gecko? The actual shell animation is really smooth. Like the graphic that pops up, you have to get enough things and then you go through the portal. Vibes wise, this game is off the charts. There's just like little technical things that are throwing me off just like a little bit, you know? Like a little bit more polish to the game would make it feel a little bit smoother and like easier to play. But as a concept, this game is pretty fun. I do like that the spin gives you a jump boost. That's a nice little touch. Oh, that's nice. So you can choose to end the game now, or you can choose not to and just continue to explore the island. I like the vibes of the game. The camera work a little bit shaky. There's some like missing animations when stuff like pops in out of nowhere. Make that a little bit more smooth. Back up the camera a little bit. It just feels way too close. Other than that, I do really like this game. It's a fun little 3D platformer. I also love this starting screen. Love that the leaves move. The animation wise, really good game. So Supraland is a really long game, and I also kept getting stuck while playing it like a year ago. I have played about 4.5 hours already, as you can tell, and I think I'm about halfway through, though I'm not entirely sure. It's not even a bad game. It's just one that you really have to put a lot of work into. It's one of those games. The puzzles can be really challenging, so if you like hard puzzles, this will probably be an enjoyable experience for you. In this game, we have a sword, blaster, purple cube, and ground pound shoes, which I've unlocked unlocked so far. You venture the land, kill enemies, solve puzzles, go on a quest, and buy upgrades. The appeal to this game is the sense of progression with character upgrades. In this kingdom, we are little toys set up by a human, and we play as one of those villagers trying to help out the town. Lofi Ball is an interesting case study. When I first played this, I finished it all in one sitting. I love this game. It took me about 2 hours to beat. I first found out about it from a friend, since I believe he worked on the OST or something like that. Anyways, his friend made this game, and it's the perfect representation of what a 3D platformer is, and that you don't even need a character to make one. This game is simple. You are a ball and you must break through the gate as lo-fi music plays. Although this game has the bare essentials of a 3D platformer, it's a very relaxing and enjoyable time. Each level has its own obstacle that you must get past, introducing something new to keep the gameplay fresh. There are also skins that you can unlock in-game and an upgrade list to see what you've unlocked so far. While recording footage for this video, I legitimately did not want to stop playing.
Hello everybody, I'm Red, and today I'm going to be doing a game review, No Straight Roads, Encore Edition. Spoiler warning ahead, you play as Mayday, who's the girl, and you play as Zook, who's the dude, the drummer. And Mayday is a guitarist. They form a rock band in a EDM city called Vinyl City. And they wanted to play rock because, you know, rock is very cool and it's just the most popular thing in Vinyl City. So they went and auditioned and they didn't get in because EDM has taken over and the NSR led by I won't spoil that, but the leaders of NSR are not happy with the rock. Fed up with the decision that was casted upon them, Mayday and Zook take it into their own hands that they will change Vinyl City to let rock join. As you can see in the background, I am facing one of the bosses, and I'm doing hard mode and crazy mode, but you'll probably be seeing me do hard mode. The game is great. It's very much reminds me of Cuphead. It's mostly a boss rush game, kind of a boss rush game, but with a really good story. Yeah, no, it's really good. You have a big area, you can explore Vinyl City. There are things that you can do around the map, and you can collect like little power nodes to like power the city and get more fans. You get fans from either beating bosses or doing little things around the city. Even on normal mode, which is like what you have to go through first, it was really difficult to like figure out the patterns of the bosses, especially with the first boss. The first boss I had trouble with. I was playing it with my friend Zeke watching me, and I mean, he can tell you I did not have a good time. Yeah, so there are things that you can do even in the sewers, where Bunk Bed Junction, which is the name of the band that they created. You have skill trees, you have Zook's, you have Mayday's, and then you have Bunk Bed Junction in general, where you can get more, which you're gonna need for like later, for like the bosses later on, and to get more things and to do more achievements. You also have the modding area, which is Zook's workshop, which you could put stickers on to help improve your damage. You could put different supers on, and the way you get supers is really interesting. There's a lot of spoilers that I would like to share, but I want you guys to like experience the game for yourself. Things I didn't like about the game, the parrying was a bit hard to figure out, even when you're like trying to, because you have to listen to the beat of the game in order to like figure out the parrying. As you can see from like the gameplay, I'm trying to like figure out the beat, and I can get some of it, but like some of it, like I'm a little too early, but I still get it off, but I'm like too late and I don't, and it's like I don't know what the timing is. But I mean, it's still a really good game, and it's probably like more for a one-time playthrough. But it does have a lot of aspects to go back to, like crazy mode, hard mode, parry mode. There's achievements for like doing all parry mode for like each and every boss, like hard mode for each and every boss, crazy mode for each and every boss. And I mean, this game does have a lot of things to go back to, but it does have a good story. The whole point is just to get the NSR and just bring Rock back to Vinyl City. You can also feed little pet crocodile, which I did do. There's also a podcast room, so while going through the game, you can go to that podcast room, and that will also get you fans. But that stops after you beat the game, so then you just have to go to beating bosses again. It's not bad, so you could just like grind this one boss and just get all the fans you need to just get through with your skill tree. Definitely play it. It's an amazing game. It's probably like 10 hours long.
And now, as a way to reward any viewer of mine who actually finishes my videos, I like to save the best for last. Orbo's Exodus. Although it's not out yet, there is a demo. Also, epilepsy warning once again, which for a game like this I was not expecting. We are a speedy little that zooms around while smooth jazz plays. An intercom announces introductions in this tutorial. I'm a minute in and I already love how the game feels. The atmosphere feels familiar, yet the more you look, it becomes mysterious. Movement-wise, I am extremely impressed with the amount of combinations you have available to you from the start, creating a genuinely engaging experience purely from moving alone. The demo is the tutorial, hub world, and level 1. Level 1 gives us a drill head which already shakes up the gameplay and interacts with the world in unique ways, which can unlock secrets. This level also introduces the townsfolk that look like statues, while this kid had way too much caffeine, and lets you interact with specific townsfolk to give you quests. I also love that this game will just blend genres out of nowhere, which adds to the mystery of this town. Level 1 has a variety of puzzles, and each puzzle has a different technique to solve it. The more puzzles you solve, the harder it becomes, so be prepared for a challenge, which meant that it took me several recording sessions to beat this demo. The heart, mind, and soul section definitely was the hardest part, but here it was where I learned how to go the fastest. One aspect that I haven't covered is that this has speed running potential, a topic I will cover another day, but with the amount of techniques that is available to you to move fast, I could see this becoming a favorite in that community. The other side to this game is that instead of a set difficulty, the game changes difficulty depending on how fast you move. For example, at the church level, there are floating ghosts that try to hunt you down. Depending on how fast you move, the ghosts will essentially match your speed, leading to great potential in various ways to play this game. To end off the demo, a character screams at you to wishlist on Steam. I'm definitely gonna buy this game.